Hey y'all, so now that you have your flash draft, we're going to be doing a couple of different techniques to help you develop your flash draft into a rough draft. So starting to polish out some of those edges, expand some of your ideas, and cut things that you may not actually need. The technique that we're going to be using today is called the emotional timeline. This is not to be confused with the emotional moments or the life map. This is a different strategy altogether. Before, we were using strategies to brainstorm and gather ideas for a memoir, but now you already have one. So we want to use a strategy that can help you polish up your flash draft. One of the most important things that we do in memoir is we expand our ideas and we make sure to focus on the emotions and the thoughts that we were experiencing when that memory was actually going on. One of the most important ways to connect with your reader is not to tell them about what happened, but to actually show them, help them be there and see and experience what happened. So to create your emotional timeline, you're going to turn your paper sideways and you'll create two arches. The inner arch and the outer arch will be for different things. The outer arch is going to be a timeline of what happened during your memory from start to finish. You're going to move from the bottom all the way across to this bottom over here, so from left to right, like a timeline. That's going to be the things that physically happened. Inside our like inside arch is going to be the emotions, or maybe what you felt or what you thought as everything was going on. We're going to do the outside arch first and then do the inside arch. Once this is done, this can help you expand and really help the reader experience your memory. We're going to use this tomorrow to edit your flash draft. Today, I just want to focus on showing you how to do this and having you guys make your own for your own memoir. So the memoir I wrote about was about the time I survived a softball-sized hailstorm. Yikes. I'm going to go ahead and plot the beginning of the story and the end of the story on my timeline. So my story began with dancing at Mayfest. My story ends with our car being totaled, and I was scared of storms for a very long time. So right, I was scared of storms for years. Now that I have my beginning and I have my end, I'm going to go ahead and start filling in some points in between. Ideally, you want to space the points out by where they occur in your story, but that takes some practice. So for right now, just worry about getting your points in order. You're only going to plot the most significant like events or moments of what happened in your story. So I'm going to go ahead and go through my story and show you how this works. So I was dancing at Mayfest, and the next thing I noticed after we danced, which was really fun, is that the clouds were getting really dark. And then once the clouds were getting dark, I remember getting like a corny dog and some Dr. Pepper, and we were on our way out, but there was this giant playground. And this playground was like the stuff of legend. It was an amazing, amazing playground, and I begged my parents to let me go play on it. Thank goodness they said yes. I was so spoiled. And so I actually ended up climbing all the way up, and I went to the top where the slide was, but the big kids were talking about needing to get down because there was going to be a storm. So the next thing that happened was it began to rain, and the sirens began to go off. Tornado sirens began to go off. And at that point, I got really scared because there were some kids underneath the playground where I was like sheltering while I was looking for my parents, saying that there might be a tornado because that's what the sirens meant. And I didn't know that because I was still only 7 and I hadn't lived through too many tornado sirens at that point. So the next thing that happened was that I ended up finding my dad, and some crazy stuff happens with hail. Oh my gosh. I'm going to stop there because, I don't want to plot out the whole story for you guys because that'll take up too much time. Then what you're going to do is go in and one by one start matching each of these events that happened with the emotions you experienced or what you felt. So when I was dancing at Mayfest, I felt very excited. When the clouds got dark, I wasn't scared or anything. I was just curious at that point. So I'm matching these up. For the playground, once again, I was really excited. I was also a little bit greedy because my mom was tired and she wanted to go home. Anyway, so with the slide, I heard there's going to be a storm. So at that point, I was a little afraid. You guys can also write like your physical sensation. So for example, for this next one, for the storm starting in tornado, I might say that my stomach dropped. So instead of just saying I felt afraid, right? Instead of just telling you I felt afraid, I could tell you describe what it felt like. So my stomach dropped and I felt like a chill shudder through me. So you can also describe, like, for example, excited. I couldn't stand still and I couldn't stop grinning. So curious could be I stared at the sky in wonder, so being more descriptive. All in all, when all is said and done, you're going to end up with an emotional timeline. You're going to make sure that you do all of the outside first, plot all of your event points, and then go back and one by one match them up. My emotions are crazy during this memory. I didn't even realize I felt all these different things. And there was definitely a difference between concern and fear and when I saw the bleeding man, which led me to absolute terror, and when we were sheltering under trees from softball-sized hail, and I honestly thought for the first time in my entire life that I might die. So this kind of helps you unpack those emotions. And when I go back into my flash draft tomorrow, this is going to help me actually flesh this out and make sure that I'm being true to the story. So that's it. I want you guys to go ahead and try your own emotional timeline for the student work today, and you're going to get that turned in. And then we'll use it tomorrow on your flash draft. But for today, just focus on creating one. Good luck.